All right, friends, Ryan Dohrn here, and thank you so much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday is that you celebrate on your end. I think it's just a wonderful and amazing time of the year for so many people. And it's also a crazy time of year for sales, right? I just did a blog post and a podcast all about 10 ways to stay motivated this time of year. Because I'd much rather be drinking hot coffee and sit in front of a fire. I don't know about you. I'd much prefer that. So, all right, so let's get started. Let's talk about 7 ways to sell web and digital like a boss. Don't forget, you can, this is going to be recorded. You can send your questions over all throughout our presentation today, and it actually would love for you to do that. So keep those questions coming. There's a questions tab on the right side of your control panel. Enter your question there. And then I will not call you out by name. I'll just ask your question to the group, and then I'll answer that question. But let's not wait to the end. Go ahead and throw those up all throughout our presentation today. Now, you also see a little tab that says handouts or downloads, and there is one sitting there. What that is a PDF file, a handout of the slides that you're seeing today. You'll notice that every page has 3 slides on it, which makes the file so much easier for you to be able to download and to see, okay? And like I said, we are recording this today, and we'll make it available to those that couldn't be here with us. So my name is Ryan Dohrn. I'm the president and founder, CEO, if you will, of Brainswell Media. And I am an internationally certified business coach, I think the only one in the world certified for ad sales. And Brainswell Media is a coaching and training firm. I created the 360 ad sales system. This year it was taught to about 100 different teams around the world. I'm the author of the book Selling Backwards. Great Christmas gift idea, by the way. Selling Backwards at Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And that was my only plug, blatant plug for the day. For those of you that don't know me, I've worked with over 300 different magazine and newspaper titles. I travel internationally, and I love to do that. Thank you to all my friends that have me visit in Canada, and I've got clients in Berlin and Australia. And welcome to all the folks listening from Australia. I know that you are listening on the archive because it's the middle of the night tomorrow in Australia. So thanks for joining us. About 4,000 salespeople have been trained under the system, and I'm thrilled that you're here today to learn more about it. I have had an awesome career in media. I say awesome because I'm just really blessed to have had the opportunity to work for great companies like Vance in Lincolnshire, Illinois, the New York Times Company, Morris Communication in Augusta, Georgia, Penwell, who's located here, where I currently reside in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and just so thrilled to have had the opportunity to be a part of those great companies. And right now, all I do is train salespeople and coach salespeople and publishers as well. So if you're looking for more, 360adsales.com is that website. Check that out. You can find the podcast there, the ad sales blog, and so much more. So that's 360adsales.com. All right, January 13th, which is Friday the 13th, we're going to be covering an amazing topic which I think you'll love in January. 6 proven ways to exceed your sales goal in 2017. 6 proven ways to exceed your sales goal in 2017. That'll be happening on Friday the 13th, January the 13th. So I hope that you'll sign up and join us for that. This is being recorded, so if you don't want your questions to show up on the recording, please don't send them across. So I'd love for you to do that. All right, let's get started. Thank you to our friends at the Magazine Manager and the Newspaper Manager. This webinar is free of charge to you because of these fine folks. I use the Magazine Manager every day for my magazine business and for salestrainingworld.com. I have a lot of clients in the newspaper space as well. Without Magazine Manager, without the Newspaper Manager, those of you that know me well know I don't do anything for free. So without their support, we would not be able to bring this to you absolutely free of charge. So welcome, and let's have some fun together. Don't forget, some of you are asking about the handouts. They're there in your control panel. You can download those under handouts. And of course, send your questions over as you see fit, okay? All right, friends, well, let's get going. Let's talk about action idea number 1. Action idea number 1. Digital is a part. Digital is a part of the marketing plan. Digital is not the entire marketing plan. Wow, wouldn't you love it if your advertisers would actually pay attention when you said things like this to them? One of the things that I've observed and I do on my own in my sales life, and keep in mind, I think a lot of you know this, I still sell media. So in February, my wife has a massive event I sell all the sponsorships for. I sell the sponsorships for Coach X, which is an event that I own partially, and put on. I sell all the advertising for Sales Training World and a couple of other media projects. So I want to always be conveying to my advertisers that digital is a part of the marketing plan, but digital is not the only piece of the marketing plan. So here's what we need to observe. Here's what we potentially need to share with our advertisers. The rule of 3 as it relates to marketing. The rule of 3 as it relates to marketing. So what really does that mean? What it means is that successful marketers understand there are 3 phases to sales and there are 3 phases to marketing. So there's 3 phases to sales, which marketing drives sales, and there's 3 phases to marketing. So there's the pre-promotion phase. Pre-promotion is, here is what I have coming for you. So Mr. Potential Customer, pre-promotion campaigns announce what we have coming. The second phase of marketing, and most marketers just don't realize this, that's the actual promotion. Here is what we have. This is what we're going to promote to you. Then the one phase of marketing that's almost always overlooked is the third phase, which is post-promotion. And that is, thanks so much, come again. Now let's think about this. In our sales life, we've got customer acquisition, that's called prospecting. We've got our actual sales, that's proposals, getting things signed. Then we have our own post-promotion, which is retaining clients. So we know that rule of 3 works for sales. That rule of 3 also applies to marketing, yet most marketers just don't either follow that rule, don't believe the rule, or actually don't know the rule. Here's the simple facts of this. If you're going to sell web and digital like a boss, you have to help your marketing partners definitively understand what this actually means. And if you don't, then potentially they're going to be lost. So here's how I sell it. Pre-promotion is driving excitement for the product before you actively promote the product. Now, let's say you have a new product, it's a little bit easier. What about an existing product? An existing product would mean that you should have a promotion around that product. So let's just say that you've got an object that you're trying to sell, Mr. Marketer, okay? And you want to sell that product as it is. Well, most people don't respond to as is, or they respond unfavorably to as is. So what you do is you create a promotion. Let's just say it's called the spring promotion, just as an example, the spring promotion. Well, you would be running pre-promotion ads in the winter to talk about the spring promotion. Then that drives excitement for the product. Then what you have next is you have the actual promotion. The actual promotion then is going to reward, and it's going to further drive people to actually purchase the product. So that's the actual promotion piece. Then what you have, the third piece of that, is then you've got post-promotion. And post-promotion is going to validate or retain clients or inspire future purchases. So essentially, everything in life happens in 3s. Okay, the rule of 3 applies to everything in life. So we live in a 3D world. What does it take for us to move a heavy object? It takes a fulcrum, a lever, and some type of action. How many legs on an effective stool? Okay, that would be 3. 4 might be better, but 3. If you happen to be a religious person, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, okay, the Holy Trinity, everything in life operates in 3s, yet most marketers only want to do the one thing in the middle. That's the actual promotion. Or what they say to us is, I don't have any money, so what I'm going to try to do is guess when someone's going to buy, and I'm only going to do this middle phase. I'm only going to do this middle step. So as we talk through this, what I'm trying to help you understand that hopefully you can get your advertisers to begin to think about is pre-promotion is about customer acquisition. It's a customer acquisition plan. So if all they're going to do is run the second step, which is an actual promotion, they're missing out on the power that digital can bring to the mix by, in that pre-promotion stage, driving excitement from a customer acquisition perspective. Then if you think about it, the third piece is retention. So if someone says to me, I have no money for marketing, okay, tell me, what is your customer retention plan? What most of the time they'll say is, well, I offer great customer service. Customer service is expected. That's what most people expect. So if you think about these three phases, it's important to understand that as a marketer, serious marketers understand this three-tiered process. Marketers that don't understand this are missing out on the lift to their actual promotion by not running pre-promotion campaigns. So while I don't have exact specifics in terms of the percentage of lift, I can tell you that I personally, working with my advertisers, always see a better lift when they run their actual promotion when they've run some type of pre-promotion. Now let me go back to a statement real quick, as is. Many advertisers want to run an as-is campaign. So let's just say that they're selling this coffee cup that I have holding in my hand. Instead of creating a promotion around this object, what they want to do is just run an ad for this object. That's called an as-is promotion. That is boring, pretty boring. So what you typically want to do is you want to create a promotion around this. Maybe it's you get an extra lid. Maybe you get a cover for it. I mean, create some type of promotion. Maybe it's a buy one, get one free, or something along those lines. And so what we do is we help the advertiser come up with promotional ideas. Pre-promotion drives somebody to the actual promotion of the item. And then if they want to continue on that momentum, so say they've spent $1,000, and if they want to continue on that momentum of the $1,000 and they don't want it to drop off, that's when they move into a post-promotion plan. So let's just say that this was my idea. So I'm working with an advertiser that wants to sell an as-is product that's pretty boring. What I'm going to do is walk them through this three phases of promotion. I'm going to help them come up with a promotional idea for this particular coffee mug. Say it's a spring promotion, a cold promotion, whatever it is. And I'm going to explain the benefits of getting people excited about the promotion. Then what I'm going to do is run an actual promotional ad, so post-promotion, or pre-promotion rather, then an actual promotional ad, and then I'm going to explain if you want to continue the momentum, then you run a post-promotional campaign. This is where digital is beautiful, because what you might consider is this. So many of you are print clients on the phone today, but what you can understand about this is you might run digital as a pre-promotional campaign. Then the actual promotion might be the print ad. Then the post-promotion might be digital. So that if they don't have a lot of money, what you can do is help them affordably digitally pre-promote. Then the actual promotion itself is in the magazine, which is a huge driver, or newspaper, and then you've got the post-promotional elements. Because we understand that marketing, it's not a one-and-done proposition. Okay, marketing is not a one-and-done proposition. If it was, that's what every major national brand would do. Okay, if marketing was a one-and-done proposition, okay, that's how it would work. Okay? All right, so a question from somebody. How do you handle this with a monthly magazine? Can it be too early to pre-promote or too late to post-promote? Yes, it can. And what we're going to talk, good question, by the way. So what I would want to do is I would want to get early with a client to help them understand the way the publication is printed. And then I want to work with them in terms of the creative process so that they understand they can use digital potentially to boost these. And boosting the effectiveness of a campaign, what it's going to do is it's going to drive potential return on investment. It's those three phases that most marketers just don't realize, or they think, well, Ryan, I don't have money to do that. And my thought on that is, if you want to maximize the one ad that you're going to run, you would want to dovetail an ad on the front and an ad on the end of that campaign to boost the ad in the middle. A lot of folks just don't understand that. And that leads me to action idea number 2. And that is that print and digital complement each other to drive return on investment. Print and digital complement each other to drive return on investment. See, we want to use the strengths of each media. See, what I'm trying to do is potentially help you understand that we need to have a story to tell an advertiser. Okay, we need some type of story to be able to tell to them. And that's where I get on this idea of print and digital complementing each other. So let's walk through this, because most advertisers want to run one ad, one ad, and for $500, and they want $50,000 in return. I mean, let's be honest here. Most advertisers are completely and utterly unrealistic with their expectations. Would you agree? Okay, most are. So what integrated media does is, when more than one option is aligned with each other, those other options increase the end result. It's sort of like this. If you put two people on a bike, typically, if you could do that, it would go faster. It's called synergy. Typically, the sum of those total parts is greater than one person working on their own. That's the whole idea behind digital and print as an integrated buy. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Ryan, I mean, that all sounds great, but, you know, my clients don't have any money at all. Well, I understand. What they're missing, though, is an important piece of the puzzle, and that is, when you actually explain three-tier marketing to them, that's typically when they get really excited. All right, someone asked, you know, could I give an example? Absolutely. Let me give you a good example. The easiest example is a car dealer. And I know that's not applicable to everybody, and I see a lot of you are B2B companies, so I understand it's not applicable to everybody, but I think you'll get it. Right now, during the holiday season, you are seeing ads for Mercedes-Benz. Buy your loved one a Mercedes-Benz for Christmas. Now, I know some of you that are on this call today, this webinar, you could afford to buy a Mercedes-Benz for Christmas for your spouse or partner. That's awesome, by the way. Good for you. Rock on and share with the rest of us, okay? What I have observed, read, and learned about why that campaign is running this time of year is because by suggesting in a pre-promotional way that you should give someone a Mercedes-Benz for Christmas, it drives home the fact that that is a luxury item, and only people that can afford it should potentially be giving it. So they're running those holiday ads well in advance of the holidays. But what it does is it drives those people into a thought process towards their spring ad campaigns. Then they run spring ads. After the spring ads run, then they run retention ads or post-promotion ads. Let me give you another example. A car dealer here locally. Come on in for the big 4th of July sale. On the 4th of July, come on in. We've got hot dogs, balloons, clowns, camels. Bring your family, buy a car. On the 4th of July is the actual promotion. The actual promotion is, come on down today. We're here all weekend long, 4th of July weekend. The post-promotional ad is, thank you so much to everybody that came out over the 4th of July. If you missed the sale, we've got more left over. That'd be just a very basic example. All right, let's talk about a B2B example real quick involving integrated media. Let's just say, as an example, that you're selling a hard drive, some type of hard product that will be related to computer equipment. So it's a hard drive or something like that. What you might do is you might come up with a promotion that's like, back up everything for spring promotion. So in December, you're running ads for this backup for spring promotion. So in the spring, when you're doing your spring cleaning, back up all of your data onto a hard drive. So in December, you're promoting the backup spring ad. In January or February or whatever, you're running the actual promotion. And then the post-promotion ad that runs is, what do you think? It is, thanks so much for everybody that bought. And if you didn't have a chance, you should. And that's the three-tiered promotional piece. Now, how you weave digital into that is really up to you. But for me, when I get an advertiser to understand this three-tier example, I almost always get more money out of them. Okay? I almost always get more money out of them. All right, somebody was asking in the question window, what about magazines that don't have any sort of discount or couponing? Okay, cool. I'll get to that in a second. And because we're more of a brand-reaching audience. That's no problem. We're going to talk about that right now, because what a lot of advertisers are doing is not understanding integrated media. And so because of that, they're not understanding how people actually buy. So let's talk about that now. Right now, currently, in the open market for all the magazines and media companies represented today, there are 3,476 media options in the open market for national marketers to choose from. Okay, some of you are local, some of you are national. On your screen now, though, is what you see is how different media types are actually ranked according to their advertising trustworthy ranking. And then they've broken it down by millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers. So as an example, people that, this is from Nielsen, by the way, in Q4 of 2015. So it's not old data. All right, so what do you trust? 83% or 85% of millennials trust recommendations from other people. That's why in every ad that runs online or in print, you should always include testimonials or success stories. 80% of baby boomers as well. The next most trusted advertising source is branded websites. Branded websites. So 75% of millennials trust branded websites, 70% of Gen Xers, only 59% of baby boomers. It's a little low for me. I think the baby boomers are probably a little more trustworthy than that. Consumer opinions placed online. 70% for millennials, trustworthiness. It goes down, Gen Xers at 69%. Baby boomers, 58% trust consumer postings online. Only 47% of those, this generation called the silent generation, which I don't know if I like that name because I know a lot of people 65 plus that are not very silent. My mother-in-law included. And some of you on this call, I know you. You're not very silent. How about this? Editorial content. 68% of millennials trust editorial content, 66% of Gen Xers, 60% of baby boomers. Ads on TV, we're dropping now to 67%, 64% for Gen Xers. Brand sponsorships. By the way, branded websites, just to be clear, branded websites are consumer brands as well as your media websites. Okay? Brand sponsorships at 60%, that's events, things like that. How about this? Here we go. Ads in magazines, ads in newspaper. Trustworthy rankings, 60%, pretty much across the board. I don't know that I believe this. 50% and 55% for baby boomers. You know, I don't know. That seems a little low. I believe that they might see a little bit higher than that. Billboards, outdoor, just begins to drop. Here's what's interesting. Look at the very bottom. Who's lowest? As far as trustworthiness, social media is very, very low in terms of the trustworthiness factor. So as I'm talking about selling web and digital like a boss, what I want to be able to convey in my story that I'm telling is that we are a branded website. We're a magazine site. We're a newspaper site. Maybe I've got some TV stations that are on the line as well today watching this webinar. So ads on TV rank very, very high, even above magazines. So to that end, the media we represent is trustworthy. I mean, it just is. And that's why it's so important for you to be able to weave this information into your story as you're talking about selling web and digital. What I observe a lot, very, very often, is I observe salespeople in the media business that actually don't know how to talk about the internet. They don't know how to talk about digital options. They don't have this data, and they really just don't have a very good web story. And so for me, I just feel like it's very, very important, okay, very, very important to weave that in. Now, one of the questions came through, what about the agency gatekeepers, I know who they are, who think they know everything and don't want to hear about your three-tier plan? The three-tier piece is something that most agencies understand, not always, but most agencies, if they understand marketing at all, they understand that three-tier plan. What they're trying to do, though, is create, and for themselves, the path of least resistance. So in dealing with agencies, which is a big part of my life, in dealing with agencies, I always have to remind myself that dealing with agencies is more about me marketing to them than about me trying to get a conversation with them. Meaning, I need to put my information in front of them on a very high, frequent basis. And so when I have an opportunity to talk with them, one of the things that I do on a very regular basis is I share this type of information via video. So I take this type of information on my screen, and what I do is I record little videos about it. And that usually helps because buyers at agencies will watch videos, but they won't take my phone call. So more important, though, than which media to buy, this is the conversation that question that just came in that you were asking, what about magazines that don't offer discounting and are more about branding? And that is to understand what the familiarity factor is, the familiar factor. And the familiar factor is this: consumers are more likely to click on familiar brands. Consumers are more likely, according to Nielsen, to click on familiar brands. It's called the familiarity factor or the familiar factor. I can't say familiarity very well. I don't know why. The familiar factor. So the reason that digital works and the reason that print works in combination is because people are more likely to buy or respond to offers or advertising from people when they're more familiar with it. Think about this, and this applies, Julie, directly to your question, and that is a website or magazine that's more about branding, because that's what I sell almost all the time. People are more likely to click on things they're familiar with. So if an advertiser is going to run a social media campaign, just as an example, and they say, I don't want to do print, may I make a suggestion, is what I would say. Okay, sure. What we have observed and what we have learned is that readers are more likely, or rather consumers, are more likely to click on things online if they're familiar with a product. That's where our magazine comes into the mix. Now, I don't need any facts or stats to prove that, because if they say, well, how do you know that? Let me ask you something, Mr. Advertiser or Mrs. Advertiser. When you walk into a party, do you look for strangers or do you look for people you know? Very simple question. When you go to a party and you walk in the front door, are you looking for strangers or looking for people you know? Now, some of you are weird like me. I like to talk to strangers. I just do. I have since I was a very young child, much to my mom and grandmother's chagrin. Ryan, stop talking to strangers. I've always loved it. It makes me a salesperson. Most people aren't like that. People associate, communicate, and click on things that they're familiar with. It's called the familiar factor. And as a salesperson, you need this to be a part of your life. I could spend all day with your team talking about how to sell using the familiar factor. I mean, we could spend all day on it because that's how unbelievably important it is. All right, now to the question as posed. This in front of you is the consumer buying cycle. It looks pretty complex. Let me walk through it with you in some moderate detail. Because what I think's happening is a lot of your advertisers are wanting to run direct response ads, yet either you are not a direct response magazine or they're not selling a direct response product. So let me give you an example. All marketers want to do is they want to run one awareness ad. Okay, that's what it is that they want to do. Okay, so they want to run one ad, one awareness ad. Then from that ad, what they want to do is they want to skip all of this and they want to jump right to the end to the purchase. That's what they want to do. They want to go from here right over to here. They want to skip it all. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works in marketing. It just doesn't work that way. I have this conversation with advertisers all the time. It goes very well, trust me. All right, so my name is Ryan Dohrn. I am interested in buying a big screen TV. Okay, so as an example. I see an awareness ad. Now when I see that ad, I might be in the mood, so I'm going over here to the need now. I might have a need. The answer might be, Ryan, do you have a need? My brain says, yes, I do have a need. Now let's back up. Let's back up for a second. 6 months ago, I saw an ad run in a magazine or on a TV station for the Samsung Curve TV. 6 months ago, my brain saw that ad and asked itself, do I have a need for that Samsung Curve? My answer, or my brain's answer, or more specifically, my wife's answer, was no, we do not have a need. No, we do not have a need. So what I did is I went back and I got caught in this loop. So every time I saw an awareness ad for that particular product or service, when the answer was no, then I got caught in this loop. Now, there was a point in time, not that long ago, where I saw an ad that ran, an awareness ad that ran. And when I came over to the need part of it, I had convinced myself, my family, the answer was yes. I do have a need for that product or service. When that happened, I began a series of questions. The first thing is social. Have I been socially influenced? Have I seen the curved TV? Have I saw it online? Has anybody been talking about it? Did my brother buy it? A friend? Have I seen it at a sports bar? Have I seen it in a hotel? Have I heard about it? Good, bad. Have I seen it in a magazine, on a Today Show? I begin to be socially influenced. That's the first step of consideration. Then I personally consider it. Is it the right size? Is it the right color? When do I need it? Do I need it? Then I begin to doubt myself. Right before people buy anything, including advertising, they begin to doubt themselves. Oh man, I don't know. Do I need it? Do I not need it? And this, my friends, is where we come in. This is us right here in the yellow. This is us. This is media. So we could run a social ad campaign for somebody to help with the social influence piece. We could help them run a print ad campaign to help with the personal consideration piece. Maybe they participate in one of our events. That potentially helps as well. Maybe they're a part of an e-newsletter. That helps as well. All of these things occur, yet what happens is most marketers, they want to skip all of it. They want to run an ad and they want someone to make a purchase. So let's think about this. Whether you're selling a couch or a computer, doesn't matter. People typically don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to spend $3,500 on a couch today. Or, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend $3,800 on a new computer today. People just don't do that. So when I'm talking with an advertiser, and I want you to follow me real close on this, just in case you're checking your email right now or something like that. Follow me close on this. When you're talking with an advertiser and they say to you something that leads you to think that they're looking for a direct response ad, no matter the magazine or TV station or radio station you represent, you need to get specific quick. You would say, I understand what you're saying. I think what you're saying is you want to sell that couch or that computer or that service or whatever. What you want to do is run an ad, and you want somebody to immediately respond to that ad and buy your product or your service. Is that what you're looking for? Yeah, that's exactly what I want. And then my response is very humble but simple. I understand what you're asking for, but you're not selling a direct response product. You're wanting to run a direct response ad, but you're actually not selling a direct response product. Direct response products are things that typically would sell late night on TV. The Thigh Master, the Ginsu knives, PD90, Beachbody. Can you tell I stay up late at night? Those type of things. Chewing gum, deodorant, direct response on that. Those are direct response products. So your magazine, even if you're a local city and regional magazine, very often you have clients that want to run direct response ads for private schools. Private schools are not a direct response ad, yet every private school wants to run one ad and get a direct response. That's where digital, the internet, digital in general, banner advertising, e-newsletters, social media campaigns come in, because this type of thing doesn't happen unless you're selling yogurt or a very low-priced item. So what happens is advertisers get confused. Advertiser will run a campaign on Facebook and get 50 clicks and think that people are immediately interested, and they're actually not. They're actually not immediately interested. They're interested because maybe they're at some point in this phase of consideration. Maybe they're personally considering it. Maybe they're looking for social consideration or any of that type of stuff. So whether your magazine offers coupons or your magazine is all about branding, you still need to understand that advertisers have to understand this. But yet most salespeople really can't talk specifically about it because they don't have a good story to tell. So that's why I'm here on this webinar today. Now, I could spend all day with your team on this. We do. Some of you that are on the webinar today, we spend all day on this topic. Because at the end of the day, I want you to have a story to be able to tell. All right, a couple questions. What would be an example of branded versus non-branded websites? A blog is not a branded website. That's the question. So what would be an example? A branded website would be, for example, the Nike website or your magazine website. Those would be brand-specific sites or branded websites. Non-branded websites might potentially be, as you mentioned, blogs, people that are not necessarily affiliated with any brand one way or the other. That can work for you or can work against you. Another non-personal websites, websites that are out there like thepointsguys.com, they're just giving advice out there. Typically, those are not related to a national brand. Media definitely focuses in on branded websites because you represent a good media brand. Okay, good media brand. All right, another question. Is there a way to get a copy of this webinar so that we could use it in a training session? Yes. Everybody that's registered, as soon as this is done, you get, well, within 48 hours, you're going to get a link that will play that video back for you. So you're welcome to share that with your team, okay? All right, important conversation. Important conversation. Let's move on to action item number 3. I don't want to run out of time. Good questions. Keep them coming. Action item number 3. Social media is not a cheap form of marketing anymore. Read it on your screen. Read it and weep, Facebook. Social media is not a cheap form of marketing anymore. Let me prove it to you, my friends. Would you like some proof? Here we go. There's a website called Marketing Profs. You'll notice that I source all my material. Many people that do webinars do not, and I do, and I have started doing that because people always ask, where'd you get that data from? All right, let's start over here on the right side of the screen together. All right, let's start right over here on the right side of the screen in 2013. On Google, on Facebook, cost per click campaigns used to cost, on average, about 92 cents per click. In 2014, it rose to $1.02. 2015, it's almost up to $1.58 or a little bit higher. So the cost per click has jumped from 90 cents a click up to $1.58. But that's not even the revealing information. Social media marketing, marketing with Google and digital marketing is actually very expensive, and it's going to get worse as I give you this data. So the click-through rates in 2013 were about 0.5. They did grow to 0.9, and they grew to 0.8. And you might be saying, well, that's good news, right? It is good news, except for look at the cost per click. It's jumped. The average ad position, if you're paying these prices, is somewhere around first place on Google AdWords. But here's what's interesting is what's happened. The cost per thousand to reach people in the digital advertising space in 2013 was $4.70 per thousand. Now in 2015, and the 2016 numbers aren't out yet, $12.07. Here's the crazy part. You ready for this? Look at what's happened in conversions. In 2013, our conversion rate was about 8.8%, meaning when someone clicked on something, out of all the people that clicked, we were converting almost 10%. In 2015, it's dropped to 3.6%. It's almost in half, almost half the conversions. Yet the cost per click has gone from 92 cents to $1.58. The click-through rate has gone up. The ad position has not changed too much. The cost per thousand has grown, but look at the cost per conversion. It has jumped from $10.44. It has jumped to $44. Now, the reason this is important, and it needs to be a part of your marketing story, and I'd say this all the time to my advertisers, it used to be cheap to advertise on Facebook. When I was working with one of the fine magazines out there, D Magazine in Dallas, one of the things we did live with the group is we actually pulled up to run a Facebook campaign for a pair of red high heel shoes within 25 miles of the center of Dallas, Texas. An advertiser that was going to reach that local audience with that red high heel pairs of shoes to reach 50,000 potential people on Facebook was going to cost them $400 to $600 per boosted post. $400 to $600 per boosted post. To reach an audience the size of D Magazine, it was going to cost them $700 to $800 per boosted post. So when I'm talking with advertisers and they say, oh, Ryan, social media is so cheap, Google AdWords is so cheap, I'll say to them, tell me more about that. Because what I can do for you at my magazine, newspaper, or radio station is because my fan base is bigger on Facebook, Twitter, etc. which in most cases, your fan base is bigger on social media than your advertiser. Not always, usually. So what that means is by them working with you, they should be able to reach a larger audience for less money and less hassle. Now, what about those advertisers that will say to you, hey, Ryan, I hired someone to take care of my social media? Well, that's interesting because let's just say you pay $1,500 to $2,000 a month for that. You're $24,000 into social media in a year before you even boost a post. Give me $24,000. I'll show you what I can do with a multimedia campaign over $24,000. Here's the big takeaway, though, guys. The big takeaway on this is it's very important to understand. Advertising on social media is not cheap. Advertising digitally, it's just not cheap. And that's a simple fact of it. So it's very important to understand that. All right, somebody asked about, can you explain the invalid click-through rate? Now, let me just be honest with you on this. My understanding of the invalid click-through rate is click fraud. Okay, that's my understanding of it as I read it. Okay, so click fraud has grown from about 8%. It's grown to 9.8%, almost to 10%. So that means you're going to get invalid clicks, click fraud, or invalid people that are just, if they're not fraudulent, they're just kind of clicking back, on it. So I think that that's important to understand. All right, a couple questions. Do you have any suggestions for ad content web ads to include? Sorry, let me read that again. I swear this is only water in my glass. I just can't talk for a second. Those of you that know me are laughing right now. Okay. Do you have any suggestions for ad content for web ads to increase click-through rates? I do. You can raise click-through rates as much as 30%. 30%, you heard me right. Not 0.3, 30%. And that is by using videos in those ads. So anytime a banner ad or web ad or an e-newsletter ad links to a video, and you can clearly see that the video is in the ad, not a video ad, but an ad that encourages someone to watch a video, I have seen anywhere from 20 to 30% lift. And so I think that that's really, 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 really important to see that. Okay? All right, someone asked a great question. Can you relate that, what you're saying on cost, to those who choose to do free social media marketing to promote themselves? Great question. Love this question. All right, people that choose to do free promotion on Facebook do not understand how Facebook works. So I am Ryan Dohrn, and let's just say I own a bike shop. And I go to my bike shop Facebook page, and I put up a post. And I've got 1,000 fans on my page. Most business owners think if they put a post on their business page that all 1,000 see that. They don't. Facebook wouldn't make money if that was the case. The only way that every fan of your page is going to see it is if you boost it or if you promote it in another way. 1 to 2% of your fans will see what you put on your Facebook page. That's it. Facebook will tell you that. Just Google it. So I always tell people that's fine. But what we do as a media company is we can help you build that audience. You can't go out in San Diego, California, as an example, and go out and boost posts to that expensive audience on your own for less than we can do it for you. They can't. Now, the person that asked this question, just as an example, I know that you've got several thousand fans on Facebook. So any company that doesn't have as many fans as you, for free, you can promote them better than they can promote themselves. Now, if they don't want to pay for it, that's a different thing. But if they're looking for it for free, they're always going to be struggling. They're always going to be struggling to keep up with things. All right, let's keep moving forward. So it's expensive, and we kind of explained why just a little bit. All right, so let's go and erase this, go back to pointer, and move ourselves forward. Great questions. Thanks so much for sending those over. All right, now let's talk about Facebook for a second. This is important. If you look closely at this chart, one of the things you're going to see is down here in the bottom right. And what this is this shows growth in active users over the course of time since inception. What you're looking at in the last year, active growth on Facebook is in the negative. Does everybody see that? So Facebook, from Forbes, growth in active users on Facebook, Facebook's now on its 5th consecutive year declining in active users. Its 5th consecutive year. Now, anybody that doesn't believe that just doesn't quite understand. It's 5th consecutive year of negative user growth. I mean, heck, look at LinkedIn in the purple. Big, growing. Instagram continues to grow. Tumblr and Pinterest is still big. Facebook is negative. So people that are relying on Facebook to be their marketing method and their sole marketing method, quite honestly, they're really in for a rude awakening. A, it's expensive. B, negative user growth. And how about this? 83% of consumers reported that they've had a bad experience with social media marketing. 83%. I know that I bought a trench coat off a Facebook ad. When it arrived, it was an infant size. It was the size of an infant. It was an XL. Infant. I couldn't fit it around my one arm. I never got my money back, ever. Do you know who this guy is? All of your advertisers, especially in the B2B space, you should know who this guy is. Want to know why? This is Alex Goldfund, author and evangelist of social media. He has proclaimed from the mountaintops, social media marketing is useless for B2B companies. Useless. Alex Goldfund, write his name down. He now is your best friend for all of you selling. 80% of Facebook users say they have never bought a product or service as a result of an advertisement or comment on Facebook. That's from Yahoo Business. 80%. It's not necessarily uncommon. Now, do your Facebook campaigns work? Yeah, because people come to media sites for a purpose. Very rarely does someone say, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go check out Nike's Facebook page. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go check out Adidas' Facebook page. People don't do that, but they're reading your media sites, and that's why typically your Facebook always does better. How about this? 70% of marketers were not confident in their company's ability to measure the return on their social ad spend. That's bad. And that's just really bad. That's marketers. That's our clients, our advertisers. And I just, as I pause to take a drink here, I just can't thank magazine manager and the newspaper manager enough, because without them, this important information really, truly would not be shared with you today unless you were paying for it. And that's why I just really thank those guys. I put that slide in there, though. It reminds me to take a breath. Otherwise, I tend to pass out. I tend to pass out. I just get so excited about sales, media sales. Did you get excited about media sales? I do. Love it. Action idea number 4. Adopt a print plus mentality in your media company. If you want to be a boss selling web and digital, adopt a print plus mentality in your media company. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is the more an advertiser will spend with me in total, including print, the more options I offer to them. So what I do is I reward people for running ads in print with me. So let's just say that I have 5 digital options. Maybe they can only get access to 3 of them unless they're a full all-in partner. And when they are, then they get access to everything. Now, somebody said to me the other day, well, that's kind of like holding them hostage, isn't it? I said, well, the answer would be yes, it is. Because without our print component, which is very often our largest revenue source for many of us, or a TV station or whatever, then we can't pay the bills and keep this great enterprise growing. And the reason we are in business is to inform our readers, the reason that our listeners or viewers, and without that conduit, our clients will run out of new names to market to. So they really, really actually do need us. So that's adopting a print plus mentality. All right, action item number 5. Sponsored content offerings are only as good as the audience you can drive to the content. Sponsored content offerings are only as good as the audience that you can drive to the content. So let me show you what I do as it relates to that. Okay, what I do as it relates to that. So this would be sort of a standard, if you will, sponsored content proposal. And we don't have time to get into all the details of sponsored content today. Maybe we'll do that on a future webinar. So what I do is, as I'm creating these, is here are kind of my 3 packages, my 3 sponsored content packages. So I've got my maximum exposure sponsored content plan. So what that is each month a 2-page article of 1,200 words or less with photos is featured in Sales Pro magazine. Excuse me. Amtrak, who's my client, Amtrak is positioned as a subject matter expert in the article. Total monthly readers, 55,000. Number 2, article will be featured online at salestrainingworld.com. Total monthly unique readers online, 15,000. Number 3, article will be promoted 2 times each month on the Sales Training World social media channels. Total monthly reach, 75,000. Number 4, article will be mentioned in 1 monthly e-newsletter, pushed out to 5,700 readers. So the monthly reach of this sponsored content campaign will be 150,000. The monthly value of the campaign is 6,500. This is a print plus option. So if you are buying all of this from me, okay, including that mention in the magazine, on the website, etc., the actual cost is going to be $52.50 per month, just as an example. Now let's say that, so for me, just understand, sponsored content is fine if you're running that on the website, but if you want to sell web and digital like a boss, what you have to do is you have to promote that. You have to create channels for that promotion. So to that end, someone might say, well, I can't afford the maximum exposure. Well, then what else can I have? Well, the smart exposure plan would be next. That's everything above minus the print piece. The basic exposure plan would be everything in maximum, though, minus the print piece and the social piece. So what I'm trying to do, and obviously the pricing is mine for my audience. You have to price yours accordingly. But what I'm trying to do from a print plus perspective is I'm trying to give them a big incentive. Like, I will give you $12.50 off this campaign if you run in all of the media, which is going to increase your exposure from 150,000 or from 200,000 as a basic package all the way to 150,000. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage through this print plus mentality that if you want to get access to everything, then really what you have to do, okay, is you have to buy more from me. And it is a little bit of a hostage thing. I mean, I totally, get that. But for me, it's just really, really important for me to understand that I need to explain this to the advertisers. The more that you do this, the better. Now, somebody asked a good question here. Good question. Is there a reason you use readers as opposed to impressions? Great question. I use readers because that's who I'm trying to reach. And so rather than impressions, the reason I use readers is because it's easy for my advertisers really to understand. Okay, it's easier for my advertisers to understand that. And so that's, why I do that, just to say. All right, question. Getting old, the print on the handout is a little too small. I understand. Well, we'll see if we can't figure out a way to get that to you in a little bit bigger font, okay? For those that are asking for copies of all this, reach out to me, ryan@brainswellmedia.com. So this is really the essence of the print plus conversation. But remember something, sponsored content is only as good, okay? It's only as good as your ability to be able to promote it. All right, let's roll through our last 2 things. Great questions, by the way. Keep those questions coming. I saw that a lot of you asked how to get copies of these slides, and we'll discuss that here in a minute. Action item number 6. A lot of advertisers are talking about retargeting right now, and I want you to rethink retargeting. And the reason is because of this. So within the last few months, I did a search on Google for a Delta flight direct from Orlando or from O'Hare to Orlando. So I was going from Chicago O'Hare to Orlando. I was logged in and I did one search for that on Google. What I began to see is, as I began to search then for hotels in New York City, etc., what I began to do is I began to notice that everywhere I went online, I was seeing ads for hotels and airlines. So I went to the Huffington Post to look up something, and I'm on a political story, and I'm seeing ads for Hyatt. I'm seeing ads for Hilton. I'm reading the ad further, and I see another Hyatt ad that's delivered here. So retargeting, so for those of you that don't know, is based upon, I searched for something. I searched for hotels in New York City. I searched for a flight from Chicago to Orlando. And everywhere now I'm going online, I'm seeing these ads. The crazy part about this, and advertisers need to understand this, is that no matter what I search for online, I'm still seeing their ads. So I searched on Huffington Post for how to cook a goose. And guess what I found? I found that Hilton wanted me to come and visit them in New York. And I thought to myself, certainly there must be a way to catch this. I mean, certainly they're not going to run ads on anything that I search for. So I just typed in murder. And what did I get on Huffington Post? I got more ads. So I searched for murder on Huffington Post. I got back stories about murder, and then I'm getting that I should be murdering, I guess, and then I get an ad for the JW Marriott in Scottsdale. This is the reason that retargeting is very, very dangerous, because now your brand is being associated with whatever it is that I'm searching for. So I thought to myself, hey, Ryan, go find what is the worst website in the world. What's the world's worst website? It does actually exist. And so I went and looked at the world's worst website, okay? According to Google, the world's worst website. And what do I see on the world's worst website ever? An ad for Delta. So Delta is retargeting me, and it's appearing on the world's worst website. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but Ryan, that is amazing. That's the way it should work. You got to ask yourself, if you're an advertiser and you're using retargeting, what do people think of it? Because 89% of web users report that they find retargeting of ads creepy. So if you're going to get in the retargeting game, you as a media company, that's probably a better way so that you can control it. But look at these statistics. The vast majority of people found retargeting to be annoying. Look at this one that jumps out for me here, angry. When someone sees an ad for something they searched for on a non-relevant website, they get mad about it. They get angry about it. And it's important for you to understand. Retargeting often makes people crazy. 75% of web users report that they feel less favorable about brands that use retargeting. And that's why when an advertiser talks to me about retargeting, I try to help them understand that retargeting can create concerns over privacy for your customers. And then also brand alignment can be a real problem. Retargeting most often occurs on websites where you as the advertiser, you don't have any control over the content. This is one of my favorite websites, the Augusta Chronicle in beautiful Augusta, Georgia. I searched on their website where to bury a body, and look at the ad I got, a beautiful ad from Sea Island. I don't know if that's a place where I should bury a body, but certainly Sea Island is, if you've ever been there, it's gorgeous. It's where the elite of the elite live. Certainly Sea Island doesn't want to be promoted next to a search for where to bury a body. That's why when I'm trying to sell web and digital like a boss, I need to understand these things. So does retargeting have a purpose? It does, but if it's not done correctly, and that's the problem with most advertisers, they actually won't do it correctly. And that's why if you are judged by the company that you keep, how do you want your brand potentially to be perceived? And so for me, it's very, very important to understand that you have got to understand how retargeting works and why it's good and potentially why it's bad. So in my opinion, you want to rethink retargeting. All right, last but not least, thanks for your questions. I think we answered most of them that are there. Action item number 7, last of our webinar today, and that is package it. Create pricing to discourage the removal of print. If you're going to sell web and digital like a boss, create pricing to discourage the removal of print. So this is a very common package that I use. You can see it here in totality. Let me pull it up a little bit bigger. And option number 1 is what I call the maximum exposure package. And what that means is that this person's going to get all of these options, including print here at the top, a large banner ad. They're going to get our e-newsletter. We're going to give them text mentions on Facebook. And here's the total value. And here's the discount. So I try to encourage people not to remove print from the equation. I try to encourage them not to remove print by offering a total multimedia discount. Now, this other secret in terms of selling web and digital like a boss is I try to offer them an actual per month price. Rather than a total campaign price, I try to offer them a per month price. So here's the smart business plan. So I've got a half page ad in the magazine, a large banner ad. I'm including them in my e-newsletter. I'm giving them a couple text mentions. And if they say to me, well, Ryan, I don't want print, well, then basically this entire thing is going to jump up $300. If I remove print out of the equation, they get no multimedia discount. I try to just create packages that discourage the removal of print. I mean, that's what I try to do as I'm trying to sell these things. So where do you grow from here? And I wish we had all day to talk about this, but I want to be respectful of your time. Where do we grow from here? For me, number one is focus on one idea from the webinar today and make that idea happen. Number two, you want to embrace those that are going to challenge you on these. Okay, get some help. Call me, call others, call your IT person or whatever, get some help. But you want to embrace those that are going to challenge you because typically the best growth comes out of a challenge. And then you're never, ever going to be able to fail and grow from failure if you don't fail forward. You've got to keep growing, and it's so important that you do. Now, one of the ways you keep growing is listen to my podcast, sign up for my e-newsletter. There's all kinds of other people that do what I do as well. Go check them out. I mean, they're not nearly as clever or funny, but go check it out. Watch the podcast. Sign up for webinars. Our next webinar is going to go online here in just a minute. Go check out those webinars because in January, I want to share with you 6 proven ways to exceed your sales goals in 2017. These are things that I tested in 2016 that I'm going to roll out in 2017, and they're going to be amazing. And that webinar, again, is going to be sponsored by the folks from Magazine Manager and the Newspaper Manager so that it can be absolutely free of charge for you. So I want you to go and I want you to check it out. Friends, that's 7 ways that I feel you can sell web and digital like a boss. I thank you so much for your questions. I wish you the very happiest of holidays. And you know what I'd love to do? I would love to train your team in 2017. Now, I'm already booked through almost March, so if you'd like to have me come into your office, let me know. But maybe you like this method. We'll just get together and go to a meeting. That works awesome as well. It's a heck of a lot cheaper, and then I get to sleep on my own bed at night. So because of that, I'll give you a big discount. So reach out to me and get that on your calendar, or I'd love to coach you as well. All right, take care, my friends. I wish you all the best in your sales life. And if we didn't get to your questions, I'm going to look at them and drop you an email as well. So be looking for a link to this webinar in the next 48 hours to come from me. Thanks so much. God bless, and I hope you have a very great holiday season. Take care. We'll see you out on the street.